In a land where cacti outnumber cell towers and the horizon stretches further than a fiber optic cable, it's time for Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter, the podcast that looks a bit behind the scenes of a broadband provider, takes a big bite out of the tech world, and serves up a healthy dose of banter with people in our community. And now, without further ado, here's your host, Bob Dahlstrom.
Hey, everybody, and thanks for tuning in once again to Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter, the podcast I do with my co-host and partner in crime, Ralph Score. Ralph, how you doing today?
I'm not in jail, so
well,
it's okay.
That's always a good day when that doesn't happen.
That's right. Hadn't been for a long time. Wait, let's not go there.
I'm your host, Bob Dahlstrom, as Lee Patterson mentioned at the beginning of the show. Thanks for tuning in. And if this is your first time listening to our podcast, thanks for tuning in and welcome. And if it's not, glad to have you back.
Where can they find us?
Yeah, good question, Ralph. Thank you. And if it's your first time, you can get us where you get all your podcasts. We are on Apple, iHeart, Spotify. We're hosted on Podbean, and we're also on YouTube and our website, vtc.net/blog. We're even on GilaValleyCentral.net. They have a podcast page, and they feature local podcasts, and we're on there as well.
Yeah, and we appreciate them for that very much.
Thank you very much. Download, subscribe, share, like. We appreciate it very much, guys, in the different episodes, because we love doing this, and we love featuring and talking to different people in our communities that are interesting people. We have a great guest again here today, and we're looking for a good episode.
We're actually just past our first year of doing this.
Can you believe it?
I know.
We're over a year deep into this, and we haven't learned a thing.
This is episode. Well, maybe we've learned some stuff we didn't really want to know about, but the Clyde or the Gunther. This is episode 29 actually for what we've done
that we're recording.
Pretty amazing.
That's amazing. Guys, thanks for coming along for the ride, and for a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys have all learned something, and we've met some, like I said, some extremely interesting people,
just amazing guests that we've had on the show.
Every episode,
the insight and the wisdom that a lot of them have, just about the field they work in, or the industry in general, or whatever topics and passions they have, is really, really interesting. And I personally have learned a whole lot over the last year.
And one of the things we said when we started this podcast is we bet we would never run out of interesting people in our community, and we are right.
We're right.
We're right dead on with that.
Yeah.
We have so many great people live in the area we serve.
And we've had a couple of repeats, which have been good, because it's just coming back around to what we need them for.
That's right.
So it's been really good. So
Ralph, what kind of interesting information did you bring today?
One of the things I was thinking about, we're into summer now, so really, it's kind of like, what do you do in your spare time? And of course, streaming has been a big thing, which has been with us for a while now. But
right on.
We talk about that, instead of just watching TV. Well, what are you doing? Well, I'm watching TV. But how are you watching TV?
Right, exactly.
And of course, we have a site connected to called Go Stream Now, which is kind of an aggregate site, which anybody who wants to know anything about streaming, everything about streaming, you can find it there on our site.
Right. It's a great resource.
It really is. And so if you're trying to figure out what you want to do or what you need in that, it's a great place just to find what you're looking for. But here's a couple of facts about streaming. The video streaming market is now valued at over $670 billion, and it's expected to grow to over $2.49 trillion by 2032.
Wow.
I know. It's amazing.
It just keeps expanding.
Yeah. The list of unique titles has surpassed 800,000 titles in the U.S. alone now for streaming content.
Out of how many of those 800,000 I've watched? 7. We got to get into it. I'm behind, is what I say.
2. Okay, and the number of streaming and the platforms continue to rise too. Of course, when it first started out, it was Netflix was really they're still the 800-pound gorilla, but now you've got all the networks are kind of breaking into their own models and pay models, and I think what's going to happen is some of those are going to go by the wayside, or they're going to consolidate with others, to make it happen. So a little bit deeper dive in video streaming services. The top 5 stats: 36% of all TV usage is now dedicated to streaming. It's approximately 1.8 billion subscriptions to video streaming services. 26% of viewers admit to binge watching at least once a week. Right?
Sure.
Netflix has over 200 million subscribers worldwide at this point in time.
How many?
200 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unique subscribers.
And Ted Lasso was the most streamed program of 2023 with 16.9 billion minutes of streaming.
I tell you, I couldn't get enough of that show.
And I haven't had Apple TV, so I haven't watched it. I guess it's a reason for me to get Apple TV.
See, now you've got another reason to add a streaming service.
Another reason to pay more money for streaming.
It was a phenomenal show. They're doing a 3rd season.
Yeah, that's pretty
They're
amazing.
coming back with that was incredible.
Yeah. So
a feel-good show.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to switch gears here for just a second here because our special guest, this is all about, we're coming up on the end of the school year, of course.
Yeah,
right?
it's here.
You know, and my wife's a high school teacher and that. But so here's a couple of did you knows. I'm going to actually open up our guest Mike so he might get in on this as well. Okay, so in what country is the elementary school with the highest altitude in the world?
Highest altitude?
Yeah.
Nepal.
Tibet, really close, right?
Oh.
What country boasts the world's
Not too
oldest high school? It'd be China.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to say Jerusalem.
A school with the world's most students, over 56,000, is India.
Okay, I can see that. Very populous countries.
Right. Okay, and here's a really obscure one. On what milestone day do kids in the Netherlands start school?
What? Is it Gunther's birthday?
No, but they start on their 4th birthday.
Oh, really?
At school, yeah. And then how old are kids in Finland when they start school? They are 7 years old.
7 years old.
Yeah. And so, and here's one that kind of makes sense. What country students have the most homework?
What country students have the most homework? Ooh, I want to say Japan.
It's part of the race, China, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah. So, and that's what I got.
That was close.
Yeah.
All right, I have one fact here. I try to bring interesting tech-related facts or things like that. Did you know that tech companies often test their latest products in New Zealand?
No.
They take them all the way to New Zealand to test them, and the reason why is because it's somewhat remote.
They just hang out with sheep all the time.
They do.
Right?
They hang out and try new things with products.
I think they're less influenced by the world at large.
Well, you're clear close because if it fails, news will not spread like wildfire because it is somewhat remote. They go test things without fear of everybody posting on social media immediately.
It'll stay with the sheep.
Yeah, the only people that know are you and the sheep, and the sheep aren't talking.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting, and a lot of the tech companies do that. I did not know that.
Wow.
Because New Zealand speaks. There's several languages spoken prominently in New Zealand, English being one of them.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. And on that interesting educating fact, we're going to talk about education. We're going to get it out with our special guest. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Everybody stick around.
Hey, are you playing Fortnite?
Yeah.
Let's go, man. I'm gonna beat you so bad.
You know I could go pro if I wanted to. You do not stand a chance. Besides, we always just play against each other.
Yeah, that's true.
We need to find more people to play with.
Hey, Valley Telecom has the Fiber Gaming Network, an online community where we can compete in tournaments and win real prizes, or just meet new gamers and participate in casual game nights.
Whoa, that's so cool. But how much does it cost?
It's actually free. Valley Telecom is providing this to their community at no charge. We just go to vtc.net/gaming and sign up.
Wow, that's so awesome. Now I can show everyone I'm the best.
Get in the game with a Fiber Gaming Network powered by Valley Telecom. Go to vtc.net/gaming to sign up today.
Welcome back to Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter. I'm your host, Bob Dahlstrom, along with my co-host and partner in crime, Ralph Score. And you heard us talking about Fiber Gaming Network. It is a free service that we offer to all people who live in our communities. You don't even need to be a Valley customer. But if you online game, whether you're a casual gamer or you just like to hang out and watch or talk to people or even compete, if you're that level where you really want to compete, that's the place to be. And you register there where they have tournaments. They have trivia nights, community gaming nights, and they give away excellent prizes.
Really good prizes.
And it's all free. All you got to do is go register.
And I'll never get an E because I just play Tetris with trucks. Oh my gosh. I thought this was about education today.
Hauling you away. FiberGamingNetwork.com to register. Go there and look for us in the drop down for ISPs or internet service providers. Follow the steps and get registered. And games anywhere from Super Mario Brothers. They even do Farming Simulator now.
Yeah.
NBA 2K25, Halo Infinite. They try to do games that appeal to the masses that are not too mature.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be coming up here pretty soon on some of our episodes. We're going to be starting a little bit of a section on gaming that we're going to be coming up.
Yeah,
to talk about doing that.
We're going to start doing that too. And I don't know do you want to talk about it a little bit real quick or another time?
Another time we'll come up on that. But we're going to be having one of our buds on that's going to be talking a little bit about gaming and Fiber Gaming Network.
Yeah, we'll have a little bit of information on that. It'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that and introducing that. Always trying to keep it new. Like we said, we've been doing this a little over a year, and
maybe
some
keep
of fresh.
Some of the gaming calendar stuff too that we might cover.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So let's introduce our special guest today. He is a graduate of St. David High School. At one time was an owner of an Apple Auto Parts store, then got hired by the Willcox Unified School District as the business manager, was promoted to the superintendent / business manager, and next month you'll be doing that. You'll be the superintendent there for 10 years.
10 years.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Kevin Davis. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, you were able to work us in very quickly. I know a lot of things are coming up. It's going to get crazy. You got graduation coming up, and among what other projects you've got to take care of. I mean, so I appreciate it.
We have a lot going on. So, yeah, it was a good week to come by.
Good. It was good timing on our part, Ralph. You hear that?
Yeah.
things sometimes work out well for a reason.
Well. And it's all the schools. That's the whole thing. You're dealing with all the schools.
All the schools, in Willcox.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you were hired to be the business manager originally. Mm-hmm. Well, what does that entail when you started out at the district?
Well, you mentioned I was an owner of an auto parts store here in town. I also had some in Globe. All of my background was in business for most of my life. And I decided it was time for a change. And so I ended up selling the store in Globe, and then we sold the store in Willcox. And then I was like, what am I going to do? And so I actually went to school for a couple of years getting science prereqs. I was going back to school to be a physician's assistant.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I did that. And in the meantime, I was helping Matt Allred from our Willcox community purchase the store, and then he sold it to Carl Heston.
Right.
And so I helped them for a couple of years while I was going to school, and I knew somebody at the school district, and they said, hey, we have a business manager position. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I had actually applied to several physician's assistant schools.
Okay.
And the more I thought about the job, and of course I prayed about it, and our family decided, well, we're going to try for the job. And they offered it, and I had to make the decision. And here we are 13 years later, 12 years later, and I'm doing business manager and superintendent. So that's how that came about.
Has it flown by or dragged?
Depends on the day. But back to your question, business manager is responsible for the financial side of the school district. It's like a business, and that's why I was hired. I knew how to run a business and had done that for a long time, and so it was a kind of a natural thing for me. Of course, school business is different than small business, and there's a lot of government types of things that I wasn't used to. But yeah, I've learned a lot, and it's been really good, and I think the school overall is in a much better financial position now than it was when I took it over. So I'm proud of that.
That's fantastic.
That's
talk about a leap of faith.
Yeah.
I mean, what a pivot on a career change, right?
Real pivot.
Man, that's impressive. It kind of reminds me when I left the police department.
Yeah.
And I came to work at Valley. They hired me as a business systems technician when I first came over here. And I didn't know hardly anything what that would entail, but I could learn, and I did that, and they took a chance on me, and that was a big leap of faith, but it worked out great. I mean, I'll be here 26 years this August.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's been a good move for me. I'm really glad that we did that, but it was a leap of faith and a big change. I had a lot to learn. Unfortunately, we had staff at the time in the school district that had been there for quite a while, and so they were very helpful and helped me learn that, and I still reach out to them and say, hey, am I doing this right? Is that? And so it's been really good.
Did you have the backing of your family and all that when you made that decision? Because that's one of those decisions that affects everybody.
Yeah, it was a real surprise to my wife because we were already moving out and going to PA school, and but it's been good.
It's like,
I bet that was.
Honey, surprise.
Yeah, guess what?
Yeah.
Put down the box. We're not going anywhere. Well, that's good. I think it was sounds like it was a good move for you. I think it was a great move for the district to do that, to bring you in to help things, because you can see you guys have had some challenges, some things that have taken place, and crazy things, but you're starting to see the benefits of you guys' hard work and things that are paying off. So let's talk real quick about the bond election. And bond elections are a prickly topic with some people, depending who you talk to, but this past fall, and you guys didn't waste a whole lot of time. You did not let grass grow under your feet to start the projects on that.
No, and that was purposeful.
Yeah.
The community, grateful to the community for supporting us. It took us This was the third bond election. Took 3 because of those things you mentioned. It's a prickly subject, and of course, it's a secondary type thing, so it's additional taxes. And so I'm very aware of that. I don't like to pay taxes any more than anybody else. But with school finance and the way the state is, there's just not enough money to pay for the things that we need, especially for aging school buildings, infrastructure, things like that. It's just not there.
Right.
So if communities like ours want to have nice things and want to get things up to the standard that we would expect, unfortunately, it has to come from the local community. And so 3 times to get the bond passed, and of course, we wanted to show that we were doing something right away with that money and trying to make a difference. And so you can see that in the projects we've done so far.
Yeah, you guys really have just really hit the ground running with those projects as soon as you were able. What was the first project that was under the bond election that you guys started?
So we started originally early spring last year with our classroom renovations. Our elementary school is 70 plus years old.
Right.
The middle school's 50 some years old. They just looked it and felt it. And so we started their first interior of classrooms, modernizing them, upgrading the fixtures. A lot of those classrooms have bathrooms in them and sinks in them. And so all of that had to be redone. We're just about finished up with the middle school classrooms. We'll be finishing up this summer with elementary classrooms. So that's 75 roughly classrooms that we have completely gone through and remodeled. New walls, fixtures, carpets, all of that kind of stuff.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah, those rooms were in definite need of it. It had been a while. Great bones to the buildings, but man, sometimes those interiors, right? A lot of kids come through, and that means you get a lot of wear and tear.
Right. And that's the types of things that the state doesn't really provide for. A lot of times is having the money to do those types of things. And so it's been awesome to have that ability to freshen those up and make it a nice place for the kids to go.
And make it a nice showpiece for everybody and a nice demonstration of look, we're getting projects done. So that one you finished.
Pretty much done with that one.
Pretty much done with that one. Which one did you fire up next?
So the next on the list was the track and field.
Which everybody can drive by and see.
Yeah.
We really did need it.
They just striped it today. So if you look at the track driving by today, it's nice red and white Willcox colors.
I saw that. I was driving by. I was so excited.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
Be good to bring track meets back to Willcox High School.
Yep, we're excited about that. Yeah. So that's almost done. We're having graduation there next week on Thursday.
Oh boy.
It's not completely like we would like it to be, and so hopefully that won't be a big disappointment to the community. We were planning to have the sod installed a couple of weeks ago, but the track with our weather out here didn't cure quickly enough, and so it was still a little soft. We had to delay the sod installation, and so that's going to come after graduation. So our landscaper was able to come up with some artificial turf that will roll out there. We've got Reed from Safford coming over with his portable stage and his sound system.
That's nice, yeah.
Hopefully our lights will be connected by Saturday, and we'll have really fancy LED lights that hopefully we can do a light show and hopefully put on a good show for graduation. So we're excited about that.
I mean, you guys thought of everything, redoing the track and doing that area. I mean, you're talking about there's going to be restroom facilities out there.
We're still
all the
working on that.
Yeah, those are coming, and all the landscaping. Because if you guys didn't know, you go on the district's website, you can see when you guys go out for bid, you can see the drawings and what you guys are planning on doing, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's going to be a great showpiece when it's done.
And hopefully we can get all that done. That's our dream situation, and we are planning to have funds to do that. But of course, as prices change and all of that kind of stuff, we may have to change a little bit. But yeah, eventually all of those things will be done, and it'll be a super nice place.
It's looking great. It's coming along. It's one of those, if you don't have vision, you're looking at it going, what is going on? Or all of a sudden it's coming together.
Yeah.
It's really looking nice. Now, what would be next on the list once this project's done?
The next big project is an elementary multi-purpose room. So we have a lot of space there, but there's not a lot of buildings. In fact, we were pretty much at capacity with students and classrooms this past year. There's no place for the kids to meet and as a gathering spot. They have to go, like our promotion next week for fourth grade goes over to the auditorium.
Okay.
If you want to do something large scale, there's nowhere to do it there. So we're it's been something that has been proposed for a long time, and it was one of the items on the bond, and so we're moving towards that. So we'll have a facility where the kids can have PE indoors, performances for their music and whatever else they have to do. So that's the next project coming up.
Boy, that would be nice, because that is lacking for them over at the elementary school right now.
It's almost like a student union type thing.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. Very nice. I know you guys have other plans for such like the old gym. You have plans for that. Fingers crossed, right, on that project. I'm not going to hold you to it, because I know that, like you said, pricing changes, things can change. You're trying to get done the priorities that you can, and then see where you are standing after that.
And we have some plans for that, and those may change just because of the age of the building. The infrastructure there is old. It's expensive to change that, and so we may do something else. I'm working with architects now on potentially having a standalone building that would have bathroom facilities, concessions, potentially a weight and training room and a locker room. Those are the plans that you can see online for the old gym that we're thinking about, but the cost may just be too much with what it is.
Right.
And so we're investigating that. We need to use the money wisely, the best way that we can to take care of that. And I just don't know if putting that kind of money into that old facility is the best use of the money.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right. And seeing what's happening with it right now, it looks to me like, and I would, can't speak for the public, but I would think these are the right choices. These are the things people were hoping for. And fortunately, these are the things you're able to address, which is great. I mean, like upgrading the facilities, athletic facilities, for one, is a major need, and not only for the students that are here, but like you said, bringing track meets back to the area, inviting other schools to come and see your school and compete and spend money. And it's all part of the economy as well. It all feeds into that.
Yep.
So that's a really good thing.
And I think something like that becomes a showcase for the community as well.
Sure.
Because if you think about, and we kind of looked at this over a long time, because when we were doing TV and all that, the hub of all the communities we serve are usually at the high school level. That's where everybody that's the big support mechanism. Everybody gathers in there.
Right.
It's part of that. That's part of the big community pride thing you find in general. So I think having the new facilities, people may not be paying attention to what you're doing as far as the renovating of the schoolrooms, right? But the kids will, and the kids will relay that to their parents too. So that's a big plus.
Everybody takes pride in those things when they happen, and I think those are great things that are going on. Any other future things you're thinking of? You got on your list? You guys trying to get done?
Yeah, we actually have a lot. Another big item was the wrestling room. It's so old that we're working on that, but there again, it's kind of tied to the old gym, so we have to figure that out. A really big project that I think will make a huge difference in the appearance of the school and the community, and this is all going to be done through grant funds. We are addressing, they call it weatherization. As I mentioned, all of those buildings are so old that we'll come in, do the weatherization, new doors, new windows, sealing the old buildings, all of that kind of stuff. Right. So when we're finished with that, it'll look like a brand new school from the outside.
Wonderful.
So combined with the interior work that we've done, our schools hopefully will be in really good shape for a long, long time.
Yeah, because that'll actually protect them.
Right.
That's a big deal, especially out here. You get really that extremes between that 40-degree swing in temperature every day. People don't realize what kind of stress that the winds. When we do get monsoon rains. That's all those things play out.
And not to mention school safety. New doors, new windows, new locks, better protection.
Right.
And so absolutely. I'm really, really excited about that, just because it'll make everything look so much better. Just how the track and field has made a different appearance and how that looks, and combine that with that whole exterior remodel, it'll be great. And we hope it depends on the grant funds and those types of things to start those projects in mid-September.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, Kevin, maybe we'll have you on a little bit later. Some other time we can talk about some updates on that. Yeah. But we want to talk about some more. Let's take a break. Want to do that, Ralph?
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, Kevin, and we'll be right back. When we come back, I want to talk about future plans you guys may have for the schools. We talked about possible override coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit and more when we come back. Stick around.
The endless options for streaming movies, shows, and sports can be overwhelming. Valley Telecom is here to help with Stream Now, your ultimate online reference for all things streaming. Whether you're a binge watcher or just looking for a quick episode to enjoy, we've got you covered. Discover recommendations, compare platforms, and find the best content for your favorite streaming devices. Stream Now makes it simple to get the most out of your streaming experience. Enjoy the journey of discovering your next favorite show, movie, or live event all in one place. The best part is it's free to use. Unlock the door to endless viewing possibilities by going to gostreamnow.com/VTC today.
Welcome back to Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter. And as you heard and Ralph talked about at the top of the show, gostreamnow.com/VTC, a wonderful resource for all things streaming. If you're not sure what other, say, you want to get rid of your regular TV, you want to go to, like, say, a Hulu package or a YouTube package, what does it have? My favorite channels. You can search on there and see which packages and which streaming services have them.
Well, and you can find out, a lot of people think, well, I'm going to replace it with all these expensive things, but you're not locked into contracts. So there's a lot of people I know that'll say, well, once the season ended for that show, I got out of that streaming service, and I'll wait till it comes back next year. So you have a lot of choices that you can do.
Well, and what shows are on which streaming service? You can search that and see that. You can read about the different streaming services, the free ones, the ones that are not so free.
And you can set your own schedule.
And you can set your own schedule. There's so much more. GoStreamNow.com/VTC. We're talking with Kevin Davis, the Willcox Unified School District Superintendent and Business Manager. And Kevin, we were talking about the bond election and all the projects you guys have going on that you're really accomplishing. It's just fantastic. But we also mentioned, and before we went on the air, we talked about override election. So looking into the not too distant future, what are we talking about here for the override election? Let's talk about that just a little bit.
Okay. So we talked about the bond a little bit. Bond elections and those types of things are specifically for capital type projects like the track and field and the rooms and all of that type of stuff. Override elections are more for nuts and bolts of everyday operation. Currently, we have an override in place, and we've had that for many, many years. We've always earmarked that for class size reduction so we can hire more teachers. Teacher pay, so we can pay a little bit more to our teachers, which is traditionally very low. And also for extracurricular activities like our bands and orchestras and sports and those types of things. Override funds support those areas. So we're coming up on an override election. We're going to have that at the next November election, general election, and it's a renewal.
I think that's a very important distinction.
Right. So it's nothing new, no new taxes, nothing like that. It's just a renewal of what we currently have. So it's not going to increase taxes any. It's just going to continue it.
You can keep the status quo that way.
Keep the status quo.
But those funds are so important for those things that you were mentioning.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So we're looking for that coming up. So we're a rural community. Kevin, do you know what off the top of your head, what the enrollment is?
Total school is about 1,050 students.
Quite a few.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's 1,050 students, but we're still a rural community. So there's got to be some unique challenges to having a public school system in a rural community. And one of them might be not as much tax base available to you. But what are some others that you guys have had to deal with and work to overcome in this area?
So I think a big thing, and I don't think it's unique to our rural community, but just we cover approximately 900 miles.
That's a big area.
And so trying to get everybody here on time and have bus drivers and all of that type of thing, that's a challenge.
So we're covering Rhode Island, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Or even activities, you think about that of parents having to come in from halfway to Mount Graham and all of those types of things. So that's a challenge. I think we have lots of challenges. School finances, are a big issue across the state, but rural communities are affected more by that because of what you said. We have a lower population, we have a smaller tax base, there's not much industry. Therefore, we have to rely on the local community more. So,
and are you affected by, I know that charter schools have become more prevalent over years, and of course funding in private schools and that, and I'm sure that probably plays a little bit into that dynamic.
It does, but we're fortunate in one way because we don't have all of the charters. Now, there's still home schools, and we still have, there's many students from Willcox that go to the surrounding Cochise or Bonita, and likewise, some of those students come here, but that is a challenge. And so, there's lots of stuff. But overall, of course, I'm from a small town, small community. There's no place better than a rural school.
Right.
It's just the truth. Smaller community, smaller class sizes, you know everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody loves you, everybody looks out for you, and so there's just so many more advantages. I wouldn't be anywhere else but a small community.
I think it's that whole connection thing because you do know students. I went to my high school, we had 800 students in our senior class graduating, and it's like, there was no senior video.
Yeah. I graduated from Pima in 84.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I was going to... I expected that, Kevin. Thank you. And we had 37 in our graduating class. So, I mean, for
I was
for them, it was
85
fairly
from
good.
St. David, and we had 32, and that was a big class.
Oh, yeah. I was 37 was pretty good size for us.
Yeah.
So, I get that. I mean, I've lived in towns much bigger than Willcox and towns smaller than Willcox, and it is such a great community. It really is. Willcox is just a unique rural community where what's great about a rural community, too, is you went to school here. Your kids are going to the same school. You guys, like you said, you build those roots, and the generations get to know each other, and they take pride in those things, and it makes a big difference.
It does.
It really does.
I've been here 25 years. I have 4 kids. They all graduated from Willcox High School, and that's a point of pride for me. I mean, not just because I work at Willcox. I mean, I think that's awesome, but Willcox is home to them.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, same with our 2 kids. Same thing.
Well, it's amazing how many students that, they might leave for a while, and then eventually they end up back here benefiting the community.
Yes.
Whether it's in the medical field or whether it's teaching or
I have 2 living here now. So
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's great.
It's exciting.
Yeah, that's good. They come back and they keep the community just kind of the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
So, Kevin, we offer up a question of the day. That's one of the things we do. And you were dreading this moment, so I was trying to slip it in there on you.
This could either be really good
or you don't have any idea what these questions are, but you do have some control over this. I have 7 questions. So you can choose a number between 1 and 7, and that is the number question I will ask you.
Okay.
So what would you like?
7.
7. Kevin, if you had to intimidate someone while silently eating a sandwich, which sandwich would you choose? Cue the Jeopardy theme. That's a ridiculous question, I know. But if you had to intimidate someone while silent, can't you just sitting there just staring at somebody just taking a bite of a sandwich?
Now,
which sandwich would you choose?
Could have to do with the chewing mechanism.
Could be the chewing, could be the loudness of the ingredients of the sandwich. I don't know.
Meatball sub, because you have to open your mouth really, really big to take that in.
Yes, yes, you do.
That's a great one.
If you're having a good meatball sub,
there you go.
Exactly
Remember that
right.
next time I get in an argument with my wife.
Paul, you're gonna have a meatball sub.
Honey, go
set
make me a
aside.
meatball sub.
Yeah. Just so I can silently intimidate people. I think that's a great question. That's a great sandwich. I like that. That's a great answer. I love that.
Love it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Kevin, hey, we've loved having you on as a guest. We appreciate you being on. Like I said, hopefully you can come back.
Yeah, I'd
and
love
maybe
to.
in the fall, maybe we could talk more about Override and see how things are going.
Well, and I had a little bit something too I wanted to kind of cue on, because we're in the online business, and of course part of that deals with online education, and I know we went through a big deal with pandemic and all that, where there's a lot of online schooling. Do you still see, and I know I think it's important to get them back in the classroom, do you still see a focus that's needed for the online school presence for people even locally?
Sure. I mean, most of our stuff now, because of COVID and having to go to an online platform, is available online. And even the state you have to submit paperwork and things like that. But say I have a kid that's ill and is out of school for a long time. Well, they can be totally online and still get credit for the school year. So we use it every day, all the time. That's how it's done. But it's so much better to have them back in the classroom where they have that teacher support and the friends and all of that kind of stuff. But it is very useful.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically the new standard going forward, right? It's always going to be available now from there on. But I agree, being in the classroom, it's hard to match that online. You can't do it.
To get that one-on-one with the teacher, that they can see what you're working on and can point to things is a big deal. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Guys, if you have any ideas or questions or things you would like us to ask, you can always email us at podcast@teamvtg.net. Kevin Davis. Kevin, thank you for being on our podcast, and we look forward to having you back on soon.
Thank you. Anytime.
Appreciate that. For my co-host, Ralph Score, I'm Bob Dahlstrom, and thanks again for tuning into Valley's Bits, Bytes, and Banter. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.